6-foot table talk. As we find out who walks the walk, it's the bane of our existence to practice social distance. 6-foot table talk.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Eddie Moore,
Bill Downs.
and we'd like to welcome you to this episode of the 6-foot Table Talk. Our objection today, what we'd like to do is reflect a little bit on my military career and centered around what it means, especially during this Advent season and Christmas time. And had a number of assignments in Europe and Vietnam, and really like to zero in on the Vietnam aspects because it gets down to the gifts, and that's where Bill comes in with his expertise in FUMC Plano PX.
Yeah.
So
My history is a little bit different than Eddie's. I had a short career in the military. When I went to college, I felt like I had to do something for our country, so I joined ROTC right off the bat. And so I got a commission when I graduated and spent 2 years active duty and 6 years reserve. But our careers kind of divided at that point. Eddie went off to serve the country, and I went off to be an architect. And since then, we moved to Dallas or Plano area about 43 years ago and joined this church. And for about the last 20 years or so, I've had the opportunity to really get in to help and try to help support our troops overseas.
And you've done a very good job at that, Bill, especially this last 10 years. We've been very, very active with the troops, I guess, where? Iraq, Afghanistan, Bahrain.
Bahrain, Syria, Germany,
Yes.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So especially at this time of season, we definitely try to fill some of our boxes here that we ship out with specialty items at Christmas, right?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
In fact, we mailed for the last year, had the honor of supporting a chapel in Al-Asad Air Base in Iraq. And that came by way of a reference from a friend of mine who has an agency that supports troops all over the world. Anyway, we've had a real good relationship with them. We're on our third chaplain. They rotate over about 9 months. They're all National Guard people, have their own churches back here at home, and they sacrifice that year of their time to go back and serve our troops overseas. So it's been an honor to help support them.
It sure has. I know we've got a lot of favorable comments from the chaplains as it comes back, how appreciative the troops are, for thinking of them.
Yep.
I did a little tidbit of investigation on Google, and we used to have a lot more troops deployed, but I think the current number is, you may know this, we have American forces in 150 different locations around the world serving right now. And these are various assignments, some attaches, embassies, special assignments. A lot of special ops forces are deployed.
Yeah. Well, in your experience, talk about Vietnam and boxes of gifts. What was your experience about that?
Oh, well, let me tell you, everybody knew, especially during Christmas time when the care packages, is what we used to call them, would roll in, because our mail clerk would end up taking a 3/4-ton truck down to the post office, and he was forewarned that he had a lot of boxes. And primarily at that time, our support really came from your wife, an aunt, an uncle, grandparents, or loved one, fiance. And I can recall, I was speaking to Dorothy the other day, and she said, well, what happened to the boxes that I sent you? And as being the commander of an aviation unit over there, the troops, they could smell always, because she packed everything in popcorn, a box similar to this, in popcorn. So by the time I would open up the box, take the cookies out, or one thing that I always liked was El Paso salsa, because we would like to do our own burritos and Tex-Mex if you could, but you couldn't get it over there. But what the kids really went after, Bill? The popcorn.
Popcorn.
There's no microwaves. We didn't have microwave popcorn. We didn't have a facility to take, and I can't remember what they were, Jolly Time, I think, put the popcorn in a little container, you know, and you put it over a fire and it would pop and it would blow up and explode, but we didn't have that. So I know the troops, they really, really loved the popcorn that was in the boxes. But if it hadn't have been for the loved ones sending the care packages, we would have probably not done well. One thing we did do though, those care packages in there in the orderly room, we'd take them down to the mess hall and give them to my mess sergeant, and Sergeant Peterson would take all this stuff and put it out on the table, and then he would either cook from it or enhance, a meal. So we shared with the troops.
Yeah. Well, I don't know a little history here. I think following Matt's sermon today and talking about finding ways to, do things for other people, I thought we were kind of blessed in a way. It's one of those messages that come, you don't know where they come from. The way we got into the PX system was about 11 years ago. In fact, April 11th, we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary of the PX. But it started with an email to one of our members, a veteran, who had a chaplain friend in Iraq. And he had sent this fellow a note saying that he had troops in his unit that had no family, no support at home.
Yes.
And they couldn't even buy supplies like basic health things, soap, shampoo, toothpaste in the PXs because they were closing down and understocked. And could we help? Well, it just happened a couple of days later, we had the senior fellowship steering committee, kind of a group that got together to plan things. And I threw out the ideas to them and say, you think we can do something like this? And all of a sudden we had $300 in a little pot. And we went and bought soap and shampoo and stuff and sent those 6 boxes off to the chaplain in Iraq on April 11th. So the good news is, and the miracle is, we talk about this later, but last week when we mailed those last boxes,
yes,
the last box was number 1414.
Wow.
1,414.
That's
I think
fantastic.
that's a miracle to me.
That's beautiful.
6 boxes that go to the troops that we don't know. We don't know any of these guys,
right,
but we're supporting them. And this church, it's all because of the support of the members of this church.
Yeah.
Now, the postage is the most expensive part of the deal. And we made a commitment back when we started that we would not take any money from the church budget or the missions budget. It's all been self-sustaining, and we've always had enough money to mail these boxes. The first box was $12.80. The box that we mailed the other day was $19.80. So, but this church has come through, so I can't believe it. It is unbelievable.
And we still have a good cash flow.
Yeah.
Right?
Good.
Yeah. No, you mentioned troops in need and things of that nature, and you mentioned today's sermon from Matt. I'd like to just share with you. We had word. We were in the Delta. We were south of Saigon, just about almost as far as you could go, sitting right on the Mekong River, and I got a message, email, a military message, from my organization in Longtan that said that Reverend Billy Graham was supposed to be at Tan Son Nhut. And so I mentioned that to the first sergeant. I said, Top, how about surveying the troops and see how many would like to fly up to Tan Son Nhut at the air base and participate or to witness Reverend Graham's presentation. So we had 2 aircraft of the 18 that had seats in them that we could actually haul people in. Well, we had enough. Everybody wanted to go, but we could only fill 2, so we took off. And I flew one bird with one of my warrant officers, and the other one went. But we landed at Tan Son Nhut, and I tell you, Christmas of 1968, that was our highlight. Couldn't see him, for the number of troops that were at the air base, because it had no bleachers or anything of that nature. But you stand up on tippy toes or position yourself, and he was up on there. But a very moving experience to have, Reverend Graham come speak to the troops.
Well, we were talking the other day about one of my favorite Christmas traditions was watching the Bob Hope Show.
Yes.
That he spent 40 years of going with the USO troops to all over the world.
That's right.
Out in the jungles and the ships and whatever.
Well, he was there. We never had the real opportunity. He stayed predominantly, Bob Hope, in the Central Highlands, 2 Corps, 3 Corps, pretty much the populated areas, not out in the lonely air base where we were. But we did experience Sammy Davis Jr. Come to visit with the show, USO show.
They were always good.
They were always good. So we were blessed that way. If I could reflect just a little bit, we're talking about troop support and what have you, and what it means. In Germany, they're at the 10th Special Forces Group in Bad Tolz. We were a Special Operations Detachment, 3 officers and 41 enlisted, and by and large, most everybody was accompanied, meaning their family was there in government housing, et cetera. But we had 18 single members in the unit. And the CO came in one day and talked to Don Gordon and myself. Captain Gordon was there, one of the 3 officers, and he said, what would it do, for your Christmas dinner? Would it disrupt anything if we shared and we all took one of these unaccompanied soldiers? So I said, without doubt, yes. Mm-hmm. So of the 18 and the other enlisted soldiers that was there with their family, and the 3 of we officers, I took 3. And I tell you what, we had really a blessing, I tell you, Cook a little more, nobody goes hungry, I tell you. But the kids, and believe it or not, they found out they were invited into, for the Christmas dinner. And at that time, we had Mike, Pat, and Brian was just a new infant. He was about 8 months old, but the kids went together and brought Christmas presents for the kids, which I thought was just beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it means a lot to share, and the troops are out there. And even the ones today, wherever they're at, they're going to be taken care of in some case. Mm-hmm. I believe that. I know the Lord's watching after them.
Well, one of our missions with the PX is supporting the members of our church in the military.
Yes.
And over the past few years, we built individual boxes to 27 of our family members.
Right.
When we get their addresses, the hard part is getting a name and a current address because they move them around so fast.
Now, troops are troops, I tell you, and it doesn't take much to satisfy one of these kids. I know the boxes that we've put together here, Slim Jims, microwave popcorn, yes. Rope-a-dopes, the soap on a rope that we've
You mentioned popcorn?
Yeah.
You got your popcorn popped, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I had to.
Well, by my record, we spent 8,440 packages of microwave popcorn. That's a lot of pop.
That is unbelievable. That's a blessing, and I guess David Willey's by and large responsible.
Big time on the Boy Scout.
Yeah. No, that's very good.
Every year.
Yeah. Well, let me look here. There must be something else. I know.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll mention that we're doing a little bit of advertising for Old First Church Plano when we mail these boxes, because every box that we mail has a little flyer in it that says, something about holiday treats for the troops from outside from First United Methodist Church Plano, so they know, hopefully, that we're thinking about them.
Right.
And another sidelight, one of the things we did first with the chaplain when we met from Al-Assad.
Yes.
She had a kind of unusual request. They didn't have Bibles for their little chapel. And that was the reason I got the message from this other person, could you all help? Well, we mailed 56 Bibles to Al-Assad. last year. And every Bible had a little label in it on the front cover from First United Methodist Church, Plano.
Right.
So they would know as long as they're in that chapel, in that spot, and they opened that book, that we were the ones that were thinking about them.
Wasn't there a request also to have Bibles in Arabic?
Yeah, we did that. Oh, yeah. That was kind of unusual. She said, we have a detachment of 12 Muslim MPs coming in,
Yes.
and can you help? Well, I said, well, I called Matt, and I said, Matt, what can you do? Well, he called his friend Imam down here, and we sent him 12 Qurans. And surprisingly, I got a little bit of feedback on that deal.
Well,
but
very good.
I got a note from them. Very thankful for doing that. And we also sent 2 Arabic English Bibles for one of the other chaplains that teach Bible classes to try to explain the Christian tradition.
No, we've really gone all out, I think, to be very supportive of the troops and even the multinational troops, I think, that are El Asad right now, because those folks come, I think have some out of Holland.
Yeah, yeah.
Might be a few out of Great Britain, and I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact, but
well, I got a note here somewhere. All this stuff.
You mentioned we got the initial, where people didn't have support. And it tickles my mind here of the story I have. And if you remember, the mission is that we flew. It was a classified mission. You take off from one base and you land at one base. And we were flying had a mission over the U Minh Forest, which is on the South China Sea, just butts up against Cambodia. And the warrant officers came back and says, we intercepted an English transmission today, and they identified themselves as a Delta Regional Assistance Team. And they needed clean underwear, shaving cream, razors, and would like any snacks that we could pick up at the PX. So I said, did you communicate with them? Because we're not supposed to, break radio silence on the missions. And they said, no, we didn't. But they knew who we were, evidently, because the airplane was unique. It's an old single-engine Beaver made in Canada by de Havilland. So the next mission, they went down there. These guys came back up again and says, Army aircraft, this is the Delta Regional Assistance. He says, can you help us? Well, in the meantime, I went back to the first sergeant, so we took up a collection, went to the PX, not knowing what size these guys were at all. So we bought T-shirts, underwear, razors, shaving cream. Fritos came in a can, not a bag, because they all get squashed. So we made an arrangement with the 162nd helicopter company that was next door to us there at the airbase. And they flew ground support and came in. We found a runway. We landed on an old sod strip. We exchanged that. Not only did they want the underwear, the shaving cream, the razors, snacks, anything we could put, but they requested, and for this program, bless us, they needed 2 cases of Budweiser, which was obviously, that's the liquid diet of a good soldier, I suppose. So we satisfied that requirement. We landed, made the exchange. What these guys gave us back, and this was Christmas the 6th of 72, and we were about ready to come home. What we got in return was 100 pounds of prawn. These are shrimp, but these are the Southeast Asian prawns. Their tails had to be at least 8 inches long, no claws.
Little lobsters.
All tails, or mini lobsters. So the guys, my troops, picked it back up. We took it over to the mess hall. Sergeant Peterson put them in the freezer. And not knowing, he had been saving ribeye steaks for about 6 months. So Christmas Eve, or New Year's Eve, December 31st of 72, you barbecue your own steak, you had your own lobster tail, the salad, and just, it made for a beautiful ending of touching again, troops in need, and you go serve.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I just ran across a couple of comments. We get a lot of comments back, a lot of cards and thank you
Yes.
notes. And one from the chaplain, Jack, that we sent the Bible, she says, it's finally feeling like a real church when she put those Bibles out in the pew.
Amen.
And there's an unbelievable number of civilians serving, including those from foreign countries who are amazed at our generosity.
Right.
So you're not only touching our youth troops, but you're touching people from all around the world.
Right.
So that's a tribute to FBMC Plano members. They do it.
Well, that's true. Bill, I know we've talked a lot. We've been to A to Z on this thing, and you're absolutely right. I've got a list of things here. We could probably go, another hour and a half or so. But the bottom line is, and I'm proud to be a member of the church, and what you have done. You've involved me in this, and I'm very appreciative of it. But the church has really reached out for the troops.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for your help,
Well, thank you,
your
sir.
leadership,
Appreciate it.
what you've done for the country all these 23 years
Well,
that you.
I salute you. Thank you.
6 Foot Table Talk. As we find out who